Morning, everybody. It's nice to see you're all joining. We're going to be trying to be as prompt as we possibly can, but let's give it a couple of minutes just to get everybody in that can join us. I'm also very conscious that because it's being recorded, some people may have to um, attend to other things as we do in social care at the last minute, but the recording will be available. And I'll remind everybody of that a bit later on as well. But at the moment, it's just lovely to be able to be here and for you to see you all joining. It's always good to have the conversation. So my role here is to really try and just keep the whole thing together. And those of you who know me might know that some things might go wrong, but we'll have fun whatever we do. And we will get through some information, which is really key and so important. So welcome to everybody who's joining. We haven't started yet, but we are going to do so now. So a huge welcome to all of you that have been able to join us this morning. Very conscious that there will be people coming in and out through this session. This very important partnership that we do have with LaingBuisson as one of the foremost commentators in the sector. We're really keen that we work with them to bring this to you and just to explain to you what it might look like and why you might want to be part of it. The participation it is just so key. We all know that within a few weeks we're all going to be thinking about the fee status and what we might be looking at in the coming year, and how do we actually then benchmark against other services to make sure we remain competitive, but we also remain viable and can grow our services and our offer to the people that we are there to support. That's the reason that we're here, and it was the reason that we were very keen that William and his team joined us. Sadly, he's not able to be here today, but we know that the team that are going to be presenting to you will have been very well chosen and know the sector well. We'll be joined today by Tim Reed, who's the Research and Content Director at LaingBuisson, and Hina Choksi Evans, hope I got that right, Managing Director at LaingBuisson. So we're honoured to have her here to be part of this and to listen to what you've got to say, and also to participate in the Q&A, which will follow the short presentation. Tim will run through some of the examples of how this benchmarking service will work and how it will help the industry. That demo will be available again. As I say, you can use it to just, if you've got to talk to other people in your organization. And we want the questions. I mean, if you've got anything that you look at that and you think, well, how is that going to work for me? Then please do ask the questions, because you've got the experts on this call who will be able to tell you how they're doing it, why they're doing it, what the benefits are, the key insights into what we're doing. This is about trying to empower the care sector for you with crucial performance indicators, insights into how your peers are operating, and the ability to make informed operational decisions, which I know is really key for a lot of people. And a lot of our members at National Care Association, we know you may be sole providers. Other people who are joining may also fall into that. And we know that the support that we can give you makes you feel that you're not alone, and we are there to support you. There is also a showcase for the benefits of foundation members, and we have been asked some questions around that. and we can explore what that means. What is a foundation member, and how will that benefit you if that's what you want to think about coming towards. All of these things will be available to you ongoing to think about and talk about. But obviously the foundation member thing, it will be time limited. We'll get all the explanations because what I'm now going to do is going to introduce you to Tim Reed, who, there he is, appears as by magic. This is what's amazing about this whole thing. So Tim, I'm going to hand over to you to talk through what this benchmarking exercise is about and how it'll benefit providers if they choose to respond to it, and why it's really important for us to have this information. So over to you.
Of course. Thank you, Nadja. And first of all, let me say how pleased we are to be able to come together today with the National Care Association to talk to your members about this product. We think it's a really important relationship, and we hope that this tool can really kind of provide support for many of your member organisations. As Nadja said, I'm a research and content director here at LaingBuisson, and working very closely with William Lang on developing this tool for the sector. And we really do think this is a tool for the sector, the way that we've been talking about it ourselves, that this is data which is supplied by the sector for the benefit of the sector. And what LaingBuisson is looking to do is to create the tool which will help you learn more about sort of your business, and most importantly, how they may compare to relevant comparator organisations. We've already been sort of receiving data in to help support development of this tool, but what's really important is that the data is representative of the whole sector, so it's not just from the big providers, and that we have buy-in and support from smaller and medium-sized providers as well, and are able to help tell a story across the whole sector. So first of all, before getting into the detail, we wanted to give you a kind of taste of what some of the outputs would look like, and we've sort of provided some demonstration outputs. So if we could move on to the next slide, please. So the first one here is a output which is a weekly fee distribution output. I won't go into all of these in detail because I'm conscious of time, but if you imagine that your home is the purple bar chart lines and your comparator homes are the grey one, and what this would show based on the data we have received from both yourself and from others would be what proportion of your residents fall into different fee bands compared to comparator homes. And this is, for this particular one, it's drilled down into the Leicestershire area and includes both old age 65 plus and dementia residents. But what we want the tool to be functional enough that you will be able to separate it out into different types of care modality, whether it's just dementia or just older age 65 plus without dementia care, depending on the home, your home's particular specialisms. If we go to the next slide, please. So this is a similar sort of output style graph, but this shows as an average weekly fee rate for your home, where your home compares to comparators, and where the previous one was for the Leicestershire region, this would actually be a more granular focus, looking specifically at Kettering and Wellingborough, and again focusing in specifically on the dementia care homes rather than a broader sample size. So again, looking to provide that sort of deeper level of granularity of insight, which you can kind of compare yourself to other relevant homes. If we could move on to the next slide, please. So we have done a lot of work on analysing the national care cost sort of benchmarks, and one of the things we have found as a result of that analysis is that there can be some variation in what we call the staffing intensity, and what we mean by that effectively is the number of care hours per resident per week. And we want to show you how your staffing intensity compares to the to others in your region. In this example, what we would see is that the relevant home here has 41 hours, which is higher than the sort of the mode average of homes in that area, which would be, say, 30 to 34 hours a week. And again, it's not saying that any answer is sort of right or wrong, but helping you to understand and compare yourself against other providers which are relevant to you. And if we can go on to the next slide, please. And I think, as it happens, we're of course in Professional Care Workers Week this week, and we've been sitting in on a number of sessions run by the Care Workers charity. And we know just how important staffing is for the sector, how absolutely critical the issues around staffing are, retention as much as recruitment. And so we are looking at ways to help provide valuable information in relation to your staffing. And so this is purely an example, but it shows the retention rates of care home staff for your particular home compared to other homes in the area, and it's set against the average number of weekly hours per care assistant, and that could be filtered on a number of different kind of measures to help sort of generate any insights as to whether retention relates in any way to the amount of weekly hours worked by a member of staff. So they are just 4 examples of the type of input data outputs that we are looking to collect. We are wanting to ensure that we are sort of asking for information that will provide you with meaningful insights and meaningful points of comparison for you. And hopefully this has given you a taste of that. Now, we also, of course, want to show you information on the data input side of the tool, what we will be asking for from you, and also looking at the back end of the product, which is currently what we are developing. And this will help to kind of show some of the functionalities that we are looking to build into it, which we haven't perhaps demonstrated on these slides. And in order to do that successfully, we've put together a video to demonstrate this. So hopefully the team behind the scenes will be able to kind of queue up the video now.
Welcome to the benchmarking service for care homes. Not everything you see today is a finished product. This is a peek behind the curtain so you can get a feel for what we are planning to achieve. This is a collaborative product by the sector for the sector. We are keen to get your feedback and fully understand your requirements. Today we are going to show you the process on how to upload your data and the core benchmarking features. We want to make the data collection process as easy as possible. The primary way for uploading data is through our secure online portal. All data is stored securely. We take information security seriously. We know that this tool will only be successful with your trust in us to handle your data in an appropriate manner. LaingBuisson is involved in fair cost for care projects where we handle commercially sensitive information from providers on a regular basis. The form is arranged into 4 sections. You don't have to complete it all in one go. Your responses are stored and will be there when you come back to them. So let's take a quick look at what we are asking you to collect. Section 1 is focused on staff costs. We'll be asking for information on the number of hours and the hourly rate. We ask this for different types of staff working in your organisation. And we also collect information on annual salaries where this is more appropriate. We want to reinforce the point that no one else will be able to see this level of data in relation to your organisation. Any other care home using this tool will see data in relation to staff costs or any other collected measure in an anonymised and aggregated way that is impossible for them to link to your specific care home. Instead, it will provide useful measures in the form of peer comparators. In Section 2, we're asking for data that will help us to provide important insights into how care homes are being funded and the extent to which a care home is providing services to self-funders or public-funded residents. We're also looking to capture information not just on capacity but occupancy. As we have heard from conversations within the sector, understanding how you are performing compared to local comparators can be critical. Our tool will not just show your occupancy ratios compared to others, you will even be able to specifically compare yourself to similar types of home. For instance, if you focus purely on local authority nursing care, you will be able to compare yourself to homes that also only provide that type of care. In section 3, there are a few questions that will enable us to provide information on key workforce issues. These include level of agency staffing and retention levels among the staff you employ. In highly competitive local labour markets, we think it's essential to be able to compare yourself against your peers, rather than having to rely on broader industry benchmarks. Section 4 is where we ask for more detailed information about your homes. We must stress we do not want any identifiable information about your residents, but we would like to know information about the type of care being provided, the client type, the fee level and funding type, and the types of room. Talking to the sector, we have found that this information is routinely available for providers, but rarely held in the same way. If you ask 10 different providers for this information, they are quite likely to show you 10 different ways of collecting it. We have therefore decided that a one-size-fits-all form isn't the easiest or most appropriate way to ask for this information. We have suggested a format that seems to work well, but if you have your own preferred method, then we can work with you on that. Now let's give you a glimpse of what we're looking to build with your data. What we're looking at here is an in-development prototype. The purpose of this is to give you a sense of what to expect, and we wanted to engage early to get your feedback during development. Our final product will be a lot more user-friendly. We also imagine it being iterative, with new features added in discussion with those who use it. We want this to be your product as much as our product. So, the data you provide will give you insights against your peers. In all cases, the peer comparisons will be based on relevant, anonymized, aggregated data. On this page, we have a visual showing fee distribution across a selected group of care homes, so you know you are comparing against relevant data. As you can see from the drop-down, in this case we are looking at LaingBuisson, our made-up care home, against peer group comparators. At present, this is national, but you can zoom in on a particular region or local authority area. For instance, if you just want to look at the Northwest, you can select this data set only. Likewise, we intend to allow care homes to drill down to specific local authorities, which of course will be vital to understanding your local market competitors. Naturally, we know that different types of client will likely impact your fee level, so you can separate these out. For instance, here we go from all fees to just those for residents with dementia, over 65s, and so on. The graph automatically removes over 65 fee payers and only shows the fees for those residents with dementia. And as you can see from the drop-down, you can also slice your data by nursing, residential, and extra care. You will be able to refine your view by CQC data, and this can be cross-referenced with other data points. So you can look at your home's fee levels compared to not just those with good or outstanding ratings, but also zooming in on just those good or outstanding homes in the Northwest who only take on self-funders. If staffing is your main concern, then you will be able to look at how you compare on hourly pay rates or agency rates, whilst others may want to consider how their fees compare to those with similar room occupancy or facilities in the room. This will be built from real fee data supplied by those in the benchmarking service. The tool we are building will make all of these things possible. Thank you for watching. We really look forward to hearing from you. Benchmarking for Care Homes by LaingBuisson. Welcome to the
Thank you. So, well, there you have it, everyone. You've seen a very short demo, but and also the explanation from Tim earlier on, which kind of takes you through why we're doing this and why it might be important for you as an organisation. I think some of the questions might arise. You know, people are always worried about data and how it's interpreted. You know, how so data will show you whatever it is you think it's going to show you. And I think sometimes people, some of the comments I get are always around that. Well, it can be manipulated. What will it actually tell us? So this benchmarking exercise is something that the sector has been talking about for quite a long time, because how do we find out what Happy Valley down the road is doing? They may have different services, they might have different things, but actually it's that benchmarking of where should I be pitching myself? What should I be doing? I forgot to say this. So Tim, it's just popped up. We have got some polls that we're also running, so that if you could just look at that. And these are appearing in the chat box, are they, or are they on the screens as it is in front of me? Is it on the screen? Sorry,
it's on the screen. I think it's on the screen. It pops up, and all you have to do is just tick it, yes or no, and it would be very much appreciated.
Yeah, I think we asked for this as NCA, that we thought it would be really helpful for us to also be able to then help with the gathering of this information. So if you could fill it in, and I know I'm not allowed to do anything, which is a shame, because I could vote, but I'm not going to do that. So what I'd quite like to kick off some questions around this. We've already got a question from somebody about the cost. Is there a cost to join the benchmarking? So I mean, I think that's the question around maybe becoming the foundation, and if so, how much?
Okay, so to be a foundation member for the first 6 months, it will be free. It will not only be free, but you will be able to tailor this product to your needs. So you could actually tell us what to put on the form and what kind of visuals and analysis you want. So foundation member, 6 months, and that point when you actually get that 6 months will be when the product is ready and we've got enough critical mass, so it would be very useful. Now, obviously, what would happen after 6 months? Well, we just want to cover our running costs. So it will be factored on how many beds the provider has. So we are going to try to be as fair as possible. We will also do it by, we will be talking to the providers. So if there are, issues around the funding for the benchmarks, that is something we would consider, because this isn't really providing you the benchmark isn't a money-making exercise for us. We may make other products anonymized from the back of it, and I want to be very clear and honest about that, because LaingBuisson is always honest and clear about that. We're not interested in the minutiae data. We might anonymize it, and actually it would make a product like the care cost benchmarks, which would help the sector in terms of fee negotiation. So again, it would be something that would be beneficial to the sector. Now, this is a no give, no get. So nobody else can see this data. Whatever you are providing us, no other provider who doesn't contribute or anyone else from an investor sector, we are not selling this data. This data is for you, by the sector, for the sector. And as I said, after 6 months, there will be a fee, and that fee will be to cover our costs, and it will be a fee that will be scaled depending on the size of the provider and the number of beds.
So just as a continuation of that particular conversation, the question is, do you have to continue after the 6 months? So are you going to be pulled into some contract because you decide that you want to do that? And people will probably want to maybe do that for the first 6 months, and then it's what value it brings to their business, I'm guessing, is what will happen. So the answer I'm getting from you, Hina, is that you do not have to continue after the 6 months. The people are not signing their lives away for a direct debit that will just keep on going.
Absolutely not. LaingBuisson's not like that, and you know that, Nadra. That would be appalling.
I have to ask the question, because these are, the thing is, I think you touched on the point quite wisely, that these are challenging times for the providers. So any bit of money that goes out, whatever the structures are, it is a bit of money they've got to think about. They've got to think about where they invest anything like this. And I think obviously 6 months starting from the date of whenever you kind of register it. This is a key period, isn't it? This is a key period of trying to get that information, so that you can pitch yourself where you need to be. Another question has popped up, so please do take a moment to just do the ticking and the necessaries, because this will help us, as I said. So do that.
Nada, you know that your point actually, this 6 months will give you a good idea on the ROI on this data, really, and that's what we really want to do. And you will, as providers and as members, will see, what that ROI is for you indeed. And then you will feel confident to say, actually, if I do spend some money and it is actually scaled to the size and of my home, that actually this is money worth spending. And as I said to you, this isn't something that we want to make lots of money on. This is something that we want to help the sector, and I think this is the best way. We have been talking about benchmarks for years, absolutely years. So I think it's very important that providers will have the opportunity to, test that ROI, which is important.
So I think I know the answer to the next couple of questions, but I'm going to let you answer them. So Raj Sagal, who's one of our board members, actually, would be very keen to be one of your foundation members. So note that name down. Will the local authority have access to that data?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No get, no give. And actually, this is for the providers. This is not for local authority at all. So no, they will not get access to that data. That's a conflict of interest for us. And also for those who are providing that data. So no, the answer is a flat no.
I think that was a no.
Did I say no?
I'd say that as it was so definitive in I like a definitive response. So Chetna has asked, can we get a lot of this information using the Freedom of Information Act with funding authorities? So I think she's saying, could she herself just do a FOI and get that information?
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I haven't been asked that question before. I don't know. Why don't you give it a go?
It is an interesting question, isn't it? Because I guess in a way, yes, you could. It's the time analysis and the what you've got to do then is to collate it and everything. What this will do is that optional. People, I love this no get, no give, or whatever. I think that is what it is, isn't it? It's like with everything, what you put in is what you'll get out of it. So actually, you stumped us a little bit, Chetna, on that one. But if you want to type in anything else, oh, sorry,
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's that consistency as well, because you will get lots of homes. You will get that regional level. You'll get that granular level, and it will be consistent. It is very, very difficult to get consistency, and that's why I think that no get, no give, no get is really important, because that level of consistency, cleaning that data, which we do, making sure that we look at the anomalies. We're specialized in data in this sector, particularly me. I come from a mathematical background. This is what I used to do in my sleep. So that you have got SMEs on this, which I don't think you would get on an FOI. I think it seems like a big job.
Yeah. So if I could just also add a bit of clarification to that as well. So there may be elements in the background to this which would be FOIable, like LaingBuisson sort of makes use of public data along with sort of many other organizations to help kind of get standardized information which is equalized across different local authorities. So there will be information like that in there. However, the information that we are asking from providers who are effectively private organizations, even if they're taking on public pay contracts, information around staffing, sort of staffing pay rates and so forth, and particularly the information that you'd then see for aggregated and anonymized from other providers will not be information you could receive from a Freedom of Information Act. there may be other data sources which provide, say, average fee levels in other ways, but this is provider submitted information which would not be FOIable from a local authority. So there are elements of unique data within the set.
So just I think this question came up, but then it seems to have disappeared. But it's back. Somebody else has asked it. Will commissioners be able to see this data?
No.
And then they won't.
No.
I think that was the answer that I thought it would be. And when are you hoping to go live?
As soon as we get sufficient or critical mass of foundation members, and we know that we've got it across regions, that it will be useful to all of those involved. That's as soon as we're hoping in 2 months. Well, we're hoping in about October, end of October, November. As soon as we get that critical mass, because obviously we want it to be useful. So we've got to make sure we've got that wide sample. So that's what it's up to you, it's up to the members. If you become a foundation member, we get your submissions. We've already had quite a few submissions. If we get some more, then we're getting very close to that critical mass. And then
go on, sorry.
Yeah, and then what we want to do is make sure we engage with those who have provided us with the data to ensure that that it's got the visuals that's needed, it's got the analysis that they would need. We want this to be a conversation. This is a conversation, and Nadra, that's what LaingBuisson's about, and that's why William is so much respected and trusted. It's because he does want to engage, and he does want to see positive outcomes, particularly in the independent sector, because that's all we've got. There is absolutely no funding in terms of public funding for the social sector, so there's a lot of burden on providers right now.
Absolutely, and just again, I mean, that we've got a question about will other homes be able to see our data. I think Tim made that quite clear in the presentation that the data is going to be used as anonymized, and so there'll be comparators available, but nobody can see that it's your home. It'll be in a mass. It's the mass that comes out, Tim. I'm trying to answer your questions. I'm trying to be LaingBuisson.
Yeah, well,
thank you.
I mean, you've basically hit the nail on the head, Nadra, but just to provide an additional level of sort of clarity and confidence, because I fully appreciate that a big part of this is ensuring that providers trust in us to handle their data appropriately. And what we are using is effectively a level of aggregation, which means that we will need a certain minimum number of sort of care home responses within an area before we will sort of provide the ability to look at that granular level. So to use a very basic example, if you were looking at a region and there were only, let's say a local area, and there were only 2 responses, like your home and another dementia home in the local, and you're both dementia specialists, then you would very easily be able to kind of identify who would be a competitor effectively for that. So it is when we receive enough data responses that we can successfully ensure that the data can be anonymized without the risk of being able to, even though it's anonymized, recognize a particular care home provider. So that's where the aggregation across a number of homes to anonymize it comes in.
So that's,
I mean, Nadra, with the fair cost of care, we've been trusted partners, and that is very confidential data. So, it is something that we take your data security very seriously, and we will ensure that the data will be anonymized and stored very, very securely. So that's paramount to us, absolutely paramount.
So I think that the definitive that's coming out in this, where people are concerned about how the data is used, it will only be used in order to create that comparator for you to be able to use then in negotiations going forward. Say if you notice that you live in Leicestershire, I don't know why I'm picking Leicestershire, we're all picking, but say we live, you're in that area and that's where your service is. and you can see from the comparator that actually you're well below or £100 below the average that's being paid, you can actually then use that as a negotiating figure. I'm guessing that's what we're looking at, is it? Or have I got that completely? Tim looks like I've said something completely wrong.
No, you haven't. I mean, that is a different product, care cost benchmarks, where you can actually look at the cost of your care home and you compare it with what the local authority is offering, and then you can negotiate with the local authority, because you can say, you know, we en masse have these kinds of costs, and it's unsustainable based on the fees that you're offering. So that's the care cost benchmark. Whereas this allows me, Hina's care home, and looking at other care homes, why is it that my retention of my staff is so low? Why do I have higher agency staff? They're very close by. Their fees are higher. This is making me think that perhaps, you know, I could be increasing my fees. It will give you a lot of strategy analysis and insight, and even marketing tools. And that's why we want to keep that conversation going. And we will then be able to provide you the analysis as well thereafter.
Okay, we've still got some questions coming in, but I can see the slide has gone on where you can do what this clever stuff is about, checking in on what's it called when you can take a scan. That's it. The word is scan, and see about how you become the foundation member. So do that in the background if that's what you want to do. Somebody has asked, will you be collecting information on things like our broader offer to residents? So they have a cinema room. Can we search on that level?
We could, and that's why we've come here for early engagement, and that's why foundation members are very important, because they can shape this. So yes, we can. Whether you have wine, whether you offer wine with your food, what kind of classes do you have, and so on and so forth. These are very important characteristics of a home and a service that influences the resident and the family's residents. So yes, absolutely. Start engaging with us, and start to become a foundation member, and we look forward to having conversations with you.
Excellent. I'm being told that I've got to get a move on, wrap up quick. So just a few more questions. We collect staff wages information via the adult social care data sets. I suppose it's just saying that there's another data set that does that about staff wages.
I mean, what we could do, Nadia, if we are running out of time, because I am very conscious that you've got somewhere to go as well, is that we're going to send an email straight after the webinar, and you can send us questions directly. And also this video is being recorded, so you can look back just in case other questions come to you as well. So please do send us emails. You can send us the questions directly, and we can provide you with further information, because I am very conscious, Nadra, that you have given up your time, the members have too, and I don't want to outstay my welcome.
So the final two questions, I think I'll come to Raj's question in a minute, but there's one here about somebody who offers neurological care services. Do you think there'd be enough providers for you to be actually relevantly benchmarking against that? That's quite specialist, isn't it? This is older people services that we're looking at, isn't it? So at this stage,
but that's not to say that later on that perhaps we will capture other data as well. It could be children's services. You know, we want to look at the whole of social care, but currently it is older people services. Absolutely correct, Nadia.
Yeah, so I think that's just fair, just to keep an eye on it, really, for Natasha. And Raj just asking, how do we use the data? How can we use the data to negotiate fees? And I mean, my view on this is as you go through the comparators, and if you've got higher wages, lower turnover of staff, you know, facilities, all that, if you map the whole thing together, you can then be looking at where you are sitting within that benchmark of fees. So you can then arguably say, well, I'm better than any other home in this county, or, you know, my turnover rate's better, I don't use agencies, whatever it might be, I pay higher fees. and use those tangible data in order to try and negotiate, because that's going to be the challenge. And I actually appreciate that question, Raj, because I think it is difficult. But I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that. I'm trying to answer it from my perspective.
Yeah, I think the benchmarks and is really your sort of peer ranking against against those around you, really, with offering a similar service, and it helps you in terms of strategy. It helps you in terms of marketing. It helps you in terms of we're very bad, I think, generally in this country in terms of using our intel and our data, and so we're trying to make that easy for you. Now, what you're sort of talking about is another product called Care Cost Benchmarks, which actually looks at the cost of care in a different way, and then allows you to negotiate with your local authority. So you can say, okay, these are my care costs in this region, and so on and so forth, and this is what the local authority is offering me. This is unsustainable. This is not something that we will be able to run our homes on these kinds of fees. And that's another product, Care Cost Benchmarks. They are interrelated, but this is really about you. It's really about the provider and providing that strategy and insight and intel.
And just the last question, which I think is a really important one. Somebody's asking, what happens to my data if I decide not to carry on with you after 6 months? What happens to that data?
Well, we ask you, what would you like to do with that data? Because it's your data. Would you like us to keep it in the system, or would you prefer us to delete that data? So that question will be asked to those who provide the data.
Perfect.
We will be following GDPR as one should.
That's perfect. So it feels very much as though what we're being told by colleagues from LaingBuisson is that this benchmarking exercise, you are very much in control of what happens with it in some ways. So if you choose to become foundation members, you will have access to that data anonymized, so you won't know each other's data, but you will have that aggregated piece that you can then use in operational issues with colleagues from your organizations, etc. You can also manipulate it in your own way, and I don't mean manipulate and telling it in the way that it sounds, but to get your argument right for when you go for discussions. There is a different tool, I know, that you're referring to, Hina, but for this particular tool, the information that you receive about the benchmarking, you can use it in the way that you think is going to best bring about results for your organization. I think internally it's a great audit tool for you. If you want to, if you're going to look at it, you're going to be thinking to yourself, I've got to pull the plug and say goodbye. Okay, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to stop wrapping up. But before I go, I do want to say thank you so much for everybody who's given their time to attend this live. You have the option to ask questions. You will get an email. You can relook at it all again. And I just want to thank colleagues Tim and Hina and Jade and Co for putting this together, and Amy in my office for making it happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nadra, and thank you very much for attending today. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.